based on where we are now, 1 point up for Trump by your count. I mean, is this literally like a jump ball, or is this,
yes,
hey, it's trending in the right way? Dan Muser, the congressman from Pennsylvania, was on the show the other day. He said they've done just unbelievable spade work in increasing Republican registration. So you mentioned North Carolina, it not trending, right? Is Pennsylvania trending one way or the other that we need to keep an eye on?
It's not trending against Trump. I don't think it's trending either direction. I think it is where it is. Here's the thing. I think the best thing that the Republicans have going is that McCormick is going to run a good campaign, and it is always good to have help. And this guy has got the talent and was going to spend what he needs to spend, and he's already been attacking Harris in his own commercials. So I think that makes a difference. The work they've been making up there makes a difference. But with only a 1 to 1.5 point advantage for Trump, yes, I would say Pennsylvania would still be a jump ball at this point.
Okay. Arizona, you've got Trump up 47-7 to Harris 46-5. Again, that's a 1.2 advantage to Trump. Real Clear Politics has it at 1.5. You guys are spot on, right? Once again. Where do you think Arizona ends up? Is it trending the right way? I thought that Arizona was a fluke last time for a variety of reasons. I don't want to, go down that rabbit hole. But my point is, does it revert back?
I don't know that I can say that, because remember at the beginning when I was talking about Republicans support Trump and how there's that gap?
Yeah.
Arizona's a place where the Republicans are a little more divided on Trump. And I'm sure this goes back to some of the John McCain stuff and all that. But there's just, Arizona has a lot of things going. I mean, you've got some bad court rulings about citizenship on voting, but you also have people who are seeing, whereas immigration has kind of moved on as the number one national issue, it is still a very probably number one issue still in Arizona. These people are feeling it day to day. So I think Arizona, I wouldn't say it's trending either direction, but I would say that Arizona, I'd say it's actually in that jump ball territory, because just looking at some of the stuff that happened to Arizona, winning it by 1.5 points or so just ain't enough. The Trump campaign to be confident needs to be up there by a solid 2 or 3 points. I mean, there's got to be a massive turnout to make sure Arizona's won. But it's right for the taking if you can just hit the hypocrisy on her position. I mean, when I've actually heard Trump talk about it on the Musk interview, and I saw this ad. When I saw Kamala's ad on the border, I was like, man, that's a good ad. If I didn't know any better, I think this lady's been focused on the border.
That's right.
I mean,
it's so disingenuous. It is so disingenuous.
It really is. They finally figured out, well, we can say whatever we want. Why not just say whatever you want?
You know what? I'm so glad you said that. I keep saying, if you knew that you could rob a bank and no one would stop you or arrest you or hold you accountable, people would be robbing banks. And when you have a complicit media like they have, they're like, why don't we just say it? Who's going to stop us?
Exactly. Nobody's holding you accountable at all. I mean, it's like telling everybody you're good looking. They're like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize you're good looking. Oh, you are.
Maybe you are. Maybe you are. All right. Nevada, you guys have Trump 48-2 to her 44.8. This one actually, to me, was kind of the shocker of the group, meaning that she's up. I mean, he's up just over about 3.5 points. Again, the Real Clear Politics average has him up 3.2. You guys are right in there on that.
But let me say this.
When I say it's a
Nevada.
shocker, what?
Let me say this about Nevada. It is the only state that I have consistently gotten wrong 3 times in a row. When they put together that last minute effort, it includes the Saturday before the election, for all the workers and the unions, they can erase a significant gap. And so I am not, even with that margin, I'm not ready to predict Nevada, because I have literally been burned on it every single time. I mean, even when we
explain to people why. What is it that they do?
It's because the union workers, they have a machine like nothing you've ever seen. It is one of the most effective tools out there. They know who has asked for an absentee ballot, who has not have it turned in. And I know in 2022, they had union workers from California would go to your door in Nevada and say, hey, you requested an absentee ballot. It's Saturday, it hasn't been turned in yet. I'm here to get it. I mean, that's the kind of operation they have in Nevada. And so, in my experience, the only poll that's going to matter in Nevada is what it looks like after the Saturday before the election. I've been burned there too many times. I mean, even in 2016 when we got the electoral, 232 to 306, we got it perfect. Nevada and 2 other states flip-flop because Nevada is just a problem. They have got an incredible machine, and it doesn't surprise me that that's where Kamala Harris decided to break out the no taxes on tips.
Yeah. All right, the 3 states that you didn't do right away, this iteration, were Michigan, Wisconsin, and Georgia. You mentioned Matt's going into the field.
Yeah, Matt Towery did all 3 of those last week. And so he put those out. And I believe in Michigan, I'm trying to remember best of my knowledge, I think in Michigan he had Trump down. Georgia, I think he had him up by 1. And I think he had Trump up by 1 in Wisconsin.
So of those 3 states, is there one that you think you're more bullish on?
I need to see more about what's going to happen with the disaffected people as it relates to Gaza. If she is pushed in a corner and she's got to go one way or the other and she disappoints them, I could see Michigan being more in play. But at this point, I would say of the 2 Rust Belts, I would say Wisconsin probably looks a little better at this point. But it really will depend a lot on that, the feeling as it relates to that issue on Gaza. And Georgia, I mean, literally, Georgia is everything. Georgia was going to be not that difficult a state when it was Biden, but Georgia is a big microcosm of the country, and it has a lot of African-American vote, and they are a lot more motivated. As a matter of fact, in the most recent poll that Towery did, he showed the Democrat enthusiasm a couple points higher than Republican in Georgia. And so Georgia's a place that is going to take a lot of work. And the one thing I will tell you is the Democrats have built quite a machine in the past few years. I remember when they put 1,000 operatives, not volunteers, operatives on the ground for those Senate runoffs. And this infrastructure they built, they've used again. They used again for the runoff with Herschel, and I think they're prepared to use it in this election. So I think Georgia, the Republicans really need to be focused on it. And there's been some changes, but what people don't understand about Georgia, how you could see what you saw in some of those movies and videos, is that if you cast an illegal ballot, let's say you go to Dropbox and you cast 50 and yours, you're only legally allowed to cast yours. Well, you've committed 49 cases of voter fraud. However, the law is flawed. It says those ballots must still be counted. And that's what people never understood. That's how you could see all those boxes being jammed. But when they said that the ballots were legal, they were telling the truth. Both things were true. So now, the fact is that people are a little more scared about getting prosecuted. That's one thing. But the fact is, once that ballot makes it in the box, then it's going to be counted, even if it has very nefarious means to getting in the box.
Unbelievable. The last thing I want to ask you.
That.
Well, I mean, this is a warning sign now for everyone. I just want to ask you one last thing. RFK, you were mentioning at the beginning, was up 9-10% for a while. He's got some ballot access issues now. He's polling 3-4%. Does that help or hurt Trump?
I don't think it hurts Trump in that Trump people were for RFK. I think it affects Trump in the fact that there were people who didn't like either candidate who found themselves saying, well, in 2020, they didn't have anywhere to go. So if they didn't like either candidate, they kind of held their nose and voted for Biden. The possibility that in 2024, they'll have somewhere else to go, is how it could help Trump for him to be there. So the more ballots RFK's on there, because there will still be Democrats who want to cast a protest ballot, probably more so than Republicans. And maybe not about Gaza, maybe because they're not supporting Israel enough. Maybe they just don't like her. But the fact is, I think in the end, him being on the ballot, probably everybody being on the ballot benefits Trump, because in 2020, that's one of the biggest differences between 2016 and 2020. In 2016, Jill Stein, her margin in almost every state was greater than Trump's margin of victory. And in 2020, there just wasn't anybody drawing votes like that. So even if between all three of them, West, Stein, and RFK, even between all three of them, they only get 4%. That might be the 4% that matters. So I think the more candidates on the ballot, the better for Trump.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.